to share. Good news to share.
Well,
Don't be shy.
we have snow, so that's great news.
That is really good news, Leslie. Thanks for sharing that. It's snowing actively, right?
Yes, yes, I think I've seen anywhere from like eight to 14 in
My,
our area. So cross your fingers.
yeah, my son ran into me last night and said, Dad, it's supposed to snow 25 inches in Telluride before we go next week. So I'm very excited about that, as is he. Other good news.
Russ, I would just want to say thanks for Cooper's presentation yesterday during the regional rally. It was some really, really awesome information and super valuable that we can convey to our sellers.
Yes. Hey, if you don't know what Carrie's referencing there, Cooper Thayer does an economic update every month for Colorado, and it's part of the regional rally. It is on the Colorado region YouTube, and I think Marielle may have sent it out to everybody yesterday. But that little 12-minute or 15-minute section that he does every month with an update that is specific for Colorado is really worth the listen. So follow that, and if you can't find it, let me know, and I'll get you the video. Anyone else?
Russ,
Ryan, do you want to introduce Nancy?
yeah, I've got a couple of things. I'm so tickled, for a lack of better words. Sam Malloy, one of our new agents who just closed this monster property, he just got another listing appointment tomorrow. And he's just really putting the work in. I'm just really proud to share that. And then also we have our new director of first impressions. Nancy is here today, and she is going to be taking over River Norberg's position. This is her first day, and this is going to make all of our lives a lot easier.
Absolutely. And we're excited that Rivers has a great story. I don't know if she's on here, but came to us as an agent and but working with us in order to fill that gap as a new agent. And now she's selling stuff and moving to full-time agent. And Nancy's going to take that role, and we're excited for you to be here, Nancy. Anyone else before we move on?
Yes, I'd like to kind of highlight the effort and work that Lindsay Morrow has been putting into Noosh Village. If I'm correct, I just saw the first paperwork coming through and the first transaction. So,
Yeah, can you elaborate a little bit more on what you're saying there, just so
yeah,
those who don't know what you're talking about can
Lindsay
understand?
put in a proposal last spring to the town of Granby, and was to do the marketing for Noosh Village, which is um, an employee housing project. And she was kind of stymied all along the way with the assistant town manager, who was, I think, effing clueless, kind of covers the whole spectrum, but really delayed things and complicated things and made it really difficult for her. But she stuck it out, and she's finally getting things under contract. So good for her.
Absolutely. She is a picture of perseverance, right?
No, oh my God, yes.
That's awesome. All right. Thank you all for sharing. Mary, I'll make sure we are recording. A couple announcements I want to share. Scott Thompson, who's on this call, has been doing an MREA book club and mastermind. It's on Zoom. The next one is on the 20th, 12 to 1. Katie has productivity coaching from 1 to 2 every Tuesday. And Katie, I forgot to text you if you have something to share today. I just saw you. Give me a thumbs up if you're sharing today. Yeah.
I only have a quick thing. Yeah.
Okay, great. And then every Wednesday, contracts with Rod, 1 to 3 in person in the Edwards office. And there's an accountability group every Thursday, 1 to 2, Frisco office, and on Zoom. Couple events that I wanted to share. Brady Sandahl is going to be in Denver, and he's going to be doing a luxury summit for us April 23rd, 1 to 4. This is at the historic Evans School. There's a happy hour for networking after. Brady's going to be sharing 6 critical shifts that luxury agents should make right now to accommodate the market that we're in. You can register for this. It's a KW regional event. You can register a KW Colorado regional event. You can register at kwcoloradoevents.com. Seating is limited for this, so get on it if you want to attend. Awards for Top of the Rockies is going to be March 4, 10:30 to 12:30. You're going to get an email in about 25 minutes reminding you to register. Awards for Vail at the Sun and Alp Golf Club at Harvest is going to be on Thursday the 5th. You're going to be getting an email if that's applicable to you. So make sure you register. RSVPs for both of these events are tomorrow and Thursday, Summit and Vail respectively. So please get registered because we can't accept your, you can't just walk in. Market Center is doing a dinner at Morton's in Atlanta on Sunday. If you're going to be going to family reunion, I think all of you have registered. So I think we're good there. I also wanted to mention that at the Ritz-Carlton Regional Awards on Friday the 6th and Shift Workshop with James Shaw coming up at the Legacy Campus in Parker on March 25th. James, by the way, was on the regional rally yesterday, kind of giving a little preview of what he's going to be talking about. You'll want to attend that. It's 9 to 3 at the Legacy Campus. And the Rocky Mountain Summit registrations are open. Don't buy a ticket because we're going to buy a 10-pack and sell you a discounted ticket. If you'd like to attend, just email the MCA email at klrw1076 or klrw889@kw.com. We'll put you on the list and we'll bill you back for the early bird and group ticket price. By the way, last week I told you that Wendy and Jay Papazan are coming. The other speaker that we announced yesterday is Lauren Lucas. She's going to be doing an AI segment. And by the way, she's also going to be coming to us in the mountains on, I'm sorry, I've got my calendar screwed up in my brain. I believe it's June 12th. She's going to be coming in the mountains to do an AI mini summit for us so that you don't have to travel to Denver if you don't want to and still get some great AI content, which is all the rage right now. Next week, we will not have the lift because we'll be in family reunion. Holly Prescott, John's better half, will be teaching us next March 3rd about presentation skills for listings. And you all know, I think, that John and Holly are both experts on training. And part of being a great presenter is doing a great listing presentation. So Holly's going to be talking about the presentation skills required to give a great listing presentation. MAPS coach Chris Lindquist is going to be teaching us about AI on March 10th. Scott Schumann is going to be talking seller seminars on March 17th, and more announcements to come on that. I wanted to share a couple details from January and how we're doing in what we call the language of real estate, how we're doing in this is Vail, MC889. Green is good. It means that we're growing. Pink is less good or maybe bad. What we're comparing here, and we'll send you these slides, is our performance on closed units, closed volume, listings taken volume, listings sold volume, and contracts written and volume. We're comparing us to the Vail Board of Realtors, to the Keller, Colorado region, to KWRI. And I like to think of KWRI as like the big market because we sell, 1 out of every 7 homes. So we're pretty representative of what's happening in the country. And the region shows you us versus Colorado, really. Board of Realtors is how we're doing it compared to our local area. And while closed units are up for the Vail Market Center, 37.5%, closed units is down 19% for January for the board. We lagged a bit on listings taken, and we lagged a bit on listings sold. So we had a bunch of buyer sales in January, and I think we'll see when we have a few more months under our belt that we'll be leading this year, just like we led last year. We just had a heavy buyer month in January. Here's top of the Rockies. Top of the Rockies versus altitude. We were up 40% in closed units. Great job. The market was down 21. We were up 200 almost percent in listings taken. That's really amazing to a market that was down 3%. Listings sold, we did well there as well. And contracts written were up 111%. So great job month to date, year to date, top of the Rockies. Katie.
Good morning. So today in our coaching call, we're gonna launch into a few weeks series of the 6 personal perspectives. The first one is committing to self-mastery. So that is knowing your goals, knowing your strengths and weaknesses, and then working with both of those things to master the necessary knowledge, skills, and habits to reach your goals. So you got to know your goals and your pitfalls. So we're going to go through some exercises around that today. And if you want to pop in and see what coaching's all about, I invite you to do that. Thank you.
All right, and I'll have the link for that in a little bit here. I want to recognize a few things. Yesterday on the February regional rally, we recognized some January regional top performers. Daniela was number 7 as top individual in closed volume at 2.4. Ryan was number 4 for top individual with closed volume of 4.09. And he was number 10 for GCI. Laura Lynn, number 6 for closed volume, and number 9 for GCI. Will, number 10 for GCI. And the Rocky Mountain Home Team, number 6 top group in closed volume, and number 4 in GCI. Great job, Vail teams and individuals. And our special guest today is John Prescott. And I'm excited about this. When I was a brand new, fresh KW agent in I joined KW in 2010, and I believe John came to St. Louis, Missouri, where I was an agent and taught and coached Bold in 2011. John, does that sound about right?
That sounds right.
And I'll tell you, I became a team leader in early 2012. And the first thing we did was we brought John back to teach Bold, because his ability to communicate with our agents and help turn an agent that was struggling into an agent that was excelling was out of this world. And I think during my time as a team leader, I hosted, I believe it was 17 Bolds during 10 years. And I think John was leading 4 of them. So I'm excited that he's here today to talk about pricing.
Well, thank you, Russ. I appreciate the opportunity. And a lot of you may not know that Holly goes back to buying a place up in the Vail area. And this was like 1990, 91, 92, something like that. And then fast forward later in life, she owned that condo for many years, probably 15, 20 years. And then she bought another condo up there and traded out the first one. She actually didn't have one for a couple of years. And then she came back, bought it again as she was based in Denver. After the Vail Market Center was launched up there, Joan Harned, you could correct me on this, but I believe that Holly was y'all's first team leader. And she came probably within the 6 months to a year after the original launch date.
Yes.
Does that sound right?
Yes. She
Yeah,
got us to 90 agents at one point.
got you up to 90 agents at one point, just in that Vail office. And I think Breckenridge was part of that, Summit County maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Vail has been a big part of our life. I've been coming to Vail skiing since I was a little kid. So Vail's been a very big part of our life for many years. And so a lot of times we'd come up there and we would run by the Vail office and we'd teach. Even when Holly was no longer team leader, Gary Keller asked her to travel around the country teaching the MREA book, recruiting for team leaders, and then also how to have a business using the MREA book. And she did that for 2 years, worked directly for Gary Keller. And so that's the reason she left the Bell area. And we still have a home. I don't know if everybody knows this, but we still have a home in Arrowhead, a condo there. And so we bought that, I guess, about 4 years ago. And by the way, we've almost more than doubled our price since we purchased that condo. So we kind of bought that at the right time, and it's just been amazing for us. We lease that out when we're not using it, and it's fun to go up there and visit. But anyway, a little bit about me, and Holly's going to be on the call. I guess Russ said coming up pretty soon for you guys on the 3rd, and she'll be talking about presentation skills. So I think, Russ, what you want me to talk about is how to get listings, especially in a market that you have a lot of inventory. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's talk about where we are. So my understanding is your inventory, your listings are up nearly 30%. So you have a lot of inventory up there in the area, and your average days on market is also up. You're hitting somewhere between 90 and 130 days, depending on which area you're looking at. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what has happened, everybody, is you have to do this. And by the way, I was a MAPS coach for many years, 14 years, and I coached some of the top agents around the country, like Brandon Green, who was a $40 million producer at the time I was coaching him. So I'm pretty familiar with this because I was also in a market in Brevard, North Carolina that was also very seasonal. And we also had a lot of high-end homes. So I would be considered like a luxury agent back in those days. So you have to, if you want to write anything down as you follow along, write this down here. You're no longer in what I call a list and pray market. We were in a list and pray market, like when I bought my condo up there, I guess about 6 years ago. You don't even know what the price is. You just kind of put it out there and you pray it's going to sell, and it usually sells for a higher price than what's out there. When I bought our condo in Arrowhead, it was a multiple offer situation and everything. Luckily, we did not have a good real estate agent that was representing the seller. And because of that, my agent, who is Michael Ruth, at your office up there, he helped us put in an offer, and we didn't even negotiate. There was no multiple offers. And I'm telling you, we got that condo at the time, probably $40,000, $50,000 under market price. So again, that realtor representing that seller just threw a price out there and really didn't pay attention to what was happening with the market, right? And so it was definitely to our advantage. So that was what I call a list and pray market. That's agents just put stuff out there. They're not even really sure what the price is. And then they just pray it comes along, sells, and it typically does, right? But what you've done now is you've entered into a different type of market. And what I call that market is we're in a lifestyle market and a market analysis. You've got to be really smart about pricing homes when you have a lot of inventory. So one of the questions that Russ wanted me to go over today is, well, first of all, let's talk about how do you find the listings, right, in this type of a high-end type of market. Well, let me tell you what your competition is doing. And y'all don't always get to see exactly what your competition is doing, but I do because I'm an owner there. So I get all the postcards, I get all the mail outs, I get everything from your competition. And so I can tell you that the Iverson team is the most sought out team, I would say, in Arrowhead for sure. They go to all the parties that we go to. They know all of our friends. And people would not even think about listing their home in Arrowhead unless they went with the Seifert team or the Iverson team. And those of you that know the Iverson team, the mother's been around forever, and she's very smart and she's very likable, and she goes to all the parties. She donates money to all the charities. But the thing you may not know about the Iverson team, long before her sons joined the team, is they've been sending high class 4-color postcards every month, like clockwork, sometimes twice a month, but at least a minimum of once a month, every single month, as long as I've owned property up there, which is going over 10, 15 years. but they focus on Arrowhead. Now, do they go outside of it? Do they go into Edwards and some of the other places? Yeah, once in a while they'll take a listing or something. They may send a postcard to that area, but they really focus on Arrowhead. So if you own anything in Arrowhead, you're going to get their postcard monthly. So that's what they're doing well, and that's how they control the market. That's how they have such a huge percentage of market share. And I don't know if you guys can see this. I'm going to hold this postcard up. Can y'all see that, Russ?
Yep.
Okay. And so this is an example of a postcard that I get every single month. And I've got, shoot, I don't know, I must have 30 of them here. And they send those every single month. Now, once in a while, you'll see another agent that'll send out a postcard. And here's one by a Barbara Gardner, if y'all can see that. Everybody see that? Again, very high end, high class. But see, here's the thing. It's the only postcard I've gotten from her. So if you're going to spend money doing any kind of geographic farming, you got to have the money, you got to have the budget, and then you got to say, okay, I'm going to stick with this for, a minimum of 8 or 9 months. So what I teach when I teach geographic farming is I teach start slow. Have a market, let's say that you're going after that's maybe 200, 300 people, not 2,000, because it costs money for the postcard and the postage, and most people will quit sooner, right? So that would be the thing that I would tell you. Okay, so how do you get these listings quick? Well, number one, if you want to write this down, the fastest way, and I also teach this class all over the country, it's you target expired listings and withdrawals, because they happen at every board at midnight, every single place, right, in the country at midnight. So if I moved up to Vail, got my license, and I didn't know anybody, I didn't have a database, I didn't know where to go, the first thing I would do would be expireds and withdrawn. Because remember, most people, they hate to hire. They hate the hiring process. Hiring a real estate agent is hiring, right? And so if you don't know a real estate agent, you're not good friends with them, you've got to go through the process of finding them, interviewing them, putting them to work. So now 6 months goes by, homes didn't sell. They didn't like the process in the first place. They certainly don't like it having to do it again. So when you think about it, what I teach in my expired classes, when you think about it, what you do is you're there to help them. You're giving them the opportunity, by you raising your hand first and saying, look, there may be an opportunity you want to talk to somebody different. It may just take a different approach, a new marketing idea, a special skill that I use that other agents don't use to get homes sold that didn't sell the first time. So by you doing that, don't think of yourself as bothering an expired or withdrawn. Think about just giving them the opportunity. If they say, no, I love my agent, then great, move on to the next person. Because most people, I find 8 out of 10 would love to interview a second person. So number one, I would start targeting expireds and withdrawals immediately. Just because they're a 6 million or a 10 million or a $4 million home listing, don't worry about that. They're still a seller with the same needs and emotional feelings about a home not selling or whatever as anybody else. Okay, number two, geographic farming. I'm a big geographic farming. I was coaching Brandon Green, $40 million producer in Washington, Alexandria, actually, near Washington, D.C. And all of a sudden the market shifted and he had no inventory. And he said, what do I do? And I said, well, the rest of the country hasn't shifted. So tell me more about it. And he did. So I said, okay, here's what you can do. Let's get into some postcard mail outs, just like the Iverson team does. Helped him design some postcards. We sent him out. Now he sent out, don't do this, but he had the money. He's a $40 million producer. He sent out 2,000 postcards to his area. Now, he didn't know all these people, right? But he sent out these postcards, and guess what happened? He took 10 listings in one weekend. Now, is that the normal? Not necessarily, but here again, if nobody's really sending postcards and all of a sudden you target an area and you send postcards to that area, you're going to walk away with a bunch of listings. So be prepared for that. Okay, so I'm big on geographic farming. And we're at family reunion next week. There's gonna be breakout sessions on geographic farming and the best way to do it and everything. So you have to be the market expert, and you want to be really defined. So what does that mean? So for example, I live in Arrowhead. Y'all familiar with Arrowhead? Well, Arrowhead is part of the Vail community. In other words, Beaver Creek, Vail. If anybody asks where's your place, I don't say Arrowhead. They don't know where it is. I just go Vail area, and everybody knows that, right? So you wouldn't want to send postcards out to Vail if you're really living in Arrowhead and you're focusing on Arrowhead. You'd send out to Arrowhead. Now, if you don't have the budget to send out to every home in Arrowhead, maybe you just focus on homes that is close to the ski slope, walk in, walk out. Well, our condo is that. So maybe you target homes that are walking distance to the ski in, ski out, and that would be your postcard. And you would say, I am the specialist or the specialist of ski in, ski out properties in Arrowhead. And that would be on every single postcard. Now, anybody that has a condo that they would consider, 100 yards or 200 yards away from walk in, walk out, they would find that postcard valuable. They would keep it. So there's another way. That's my second way of getting listings in a market where you've got a lot of listings already up there quickly. Okay, number 3. We've got to get away from staging. We used to be big in believing in staging, but staging has now evolved. Now it's yes, you hire a stager, but you got to have a great video production. People want to see videos. They want to see, videos from taken at a distance, as well as inside the home. Recently, Holly and I just bought a home in the Villages, and we got a pretty good deal on it. And I had it completely remodeled and fixed up inside. My cousin is a developer down there, and she's also a contractor and an interior decorator. When she got done with the project, I said, I want you to hire a photographer, and I'd like for you to make a video of the property as if we were going to put it on the market and sell it. And she made this incredible video. I posted it on my Facebook page if y'all want to take a look at it. And it was beautiful. That was $350 for that video. Now, I don't know what they charge up there, but let's say it's $600, $700. What I'm going to do with that video is for my own purposes, number one, but mainly, should I decide to lease it out and have to market it, or should I sell it? I've got the video already made. And it made me feel good to have that video. So what I'm saying in the area of like Vail or high-end properties like this, once you make one or two of these videos, you start using the videos like on your Facebook page, all your social media, Instagram, you start letting people know that's what, the kind of marketing you do. So now, like I never get videos on the Iversons property. I just get postcards. But if I start getting all kinds of videos, top quality videos, and I'm sure they do it with some of their properties, then I would absolutely go, oh, that's my realtor. Okay. So no longer just staging, you have to go to lifestyle curation. Let's put it that way. High-end photography. So find you somebody that can do that. Okay. That again, this is how you're going to get listings in a market that has a lot of listings. Okay. The last thing I'm going to talk about is reverse marketing. Now, reverse marketing is where you send out either a postcard or a newsletter with a call to action, and then they call you instead of you getting on the phone, cold calling people, right? Expired listings would be kind of cold calling, right? That would be marketing. That would be a form of prospecting because you're actually talking to people. Now, when you go to reverse marketing, you don't know the outcome. You're just putting postcards out to a whole bunch of people expecting a response back. So again, with reverse marketing, this would be what the Iversons are doing. They send out postcards, and then they send out X amount of postcards. They expect an X amount of return. So 2%, 4%, whatever it is. And they send it specifically to a certain area. So I would say, now this would be long-term marketing, right? This is not going to, you're not going to send out one postcard and get a listing probably. This is going to be like 6 months of this. Expireds and FISBOs, the first thing I told you to do, that's going to start happening for you overnight. Now, the other thing that I'm going to mention that I know that they do a lot of up there in your area, and you may not be aware of this, they do open houses. So, for example, in my building alone, every time we go there to visit, vacation, summertime, wintertime, whatever it is, there'll be an open house in our building constantly. And it usually is newer agents that don't have listings, and they'll, instead of going to the office, they go do an open house in the building. So I'll always go by the building, introduce myself, say hello. Of course, I try to get them join Keller Williams, and it's a great source of meeting people in the building. And then what I got out of this is what happens to these guys a lot of times. It is the seller says something like, "Well, keep me posted as to anything. This is not quite the unit, but here's what we're looking for. We're looking for a 3-bedroom, 3-bath. So if a 3-bedroom, 3-bath comes available, give me a call." Now, let's say they call me and say, "Hey, we got a 3-bedroom, 3-bath." Chances are I'd say to them, "Okay, well, give me a price analysis on my condo so I know how I'd be able to 1031 it real quick." This is what they're doing to build their database. They're having open houses a lot. This is what your competition is possibly doing that you're not doing. So those are the things that I would recommend, that in a market where there's a lot of inventory and you want to get inventory that's going to set yourself aside from anybody else. Now let's talk about pricing the inventory. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this because this is a whole other class that I teach around the country on how to price listings that will sell quickly. And the way you got to do that, everybody, you got to make sure that you price your inventory as if an appraiser was going to price it for a bank. And then you've got to be able to sit down with a seller and explain to them how you came up with this price. And if you can't sit down and tell them how you came up with this price and price it like an appraiser would do for a bank, then you need to get some training on that, because that is the key. For example, as I had my 7th level business in Brevard, North Carolina, the average days on the market in Brevard, North Carolina at the time was about 140 days. Mine was about 28. So 140 is the average in the board, 28 was ours. Well, how do you go from your team's average of 28, or your personal, if you don't have a team, 28 days when the board is 140? It's all about pricing. And it's about when you do overprice just a little bit, like if it's on the market for 14 days and there's no showing at all, it's overpriced. If you have 10 showings in 14 days, or if you just have 10 showings, you have a big open house for realtors and you have 10 showings, you have 10 realtors come there and look at it, and you don't start getting offers right away, it's overpriced. I was teaching Bold in Denver, and I had a girl from the Vail area, and she had a home that was like 14 million. She had it for over a year. And she said, "Well, it's different up here in Vail." And I said, "No, it's not really." I said, "How many showings have you had in the last 14 days?" She said, "None." I said, "It's overpriced." She went back. She used the same script I gave her in Bold that day. She used it with her seller. She came back and she told me, she says, "The home should probably be around 7.5, 8 million." I said, "Well, why do you have it at 14? She goes, "Well, that's what the seller wants." Listen to this. She goes back, she talks to the seller. She tells the seller, "What price do you think we should put on it to cause it to sell? Here is what the competition is right now, and here's what's recently sold." Guess what the guy did? He dropped it to 9 million, like from 14 to 9, just like that. Just because she asked and used that conversation with him. And then guess what happened? He started getting in offers. Within 30 days, she sold that condo, and she sold it for $7,900,000. Now, if she would have left it at 14 million, do you think it would have sold? And everybody shakes their head no. It would not have, right? So this is what you got to do. You just got to be excellent at pricing homes. That's step number one. Then number two, market yourself so you get great listings that will sell, not sit on the market like so many other people have right now. Okay, so Russ, why don't we open it up to questions, and anybody can ask me anything you want to, and with as much time as Russ is going to give me today.
Yeah, we've got about 9 minutes left, and then we got a hard stop. Who's got questions for John? Who's got questions for John? I think Ryan might be coming with a question.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Sure.
I've been farming a neighborhood for a while now, and I targeted just out of state sellers because it's a neighborhood that I think is probably pretty well populated by some more established agents. And to date, I've only had 2 listings from that particular farm. Do you think it's time for me to switch it up and maybe pick a different area?
Well, first of all, here's the math that you want to do. You got to look at the turnover. So I don't want to embarrass you. Do you know what the turnover rate is in that farm area?
I'd say they probably have about 20 homes a year that sell.
Okay, 20 homes out of how many?
Out of probably 300 plus.
Okay, so you got 40 sides, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is 40 divided by 300? Let's do the math real quick.
13%.
So you got a 13% turnover. Anything that is over 5%, you're in the right ballpark. So check that off. So you're good there. Number two, have you looked at the 20 homes that sold? Have you printed out those MLS sheets? Have you looked at the buyer side as well as the seller side to find out who the dominant agent is?
I have in the past, but I need to do that again.
Okay. Because here's what happens. We don't care if it's Slifer or Forbes or who, we don't care if it's a dominant company, but we do care if it's a dominant agent. So if I go into Arrowhead and I see that the Iverson team is 35%, 40% market share, chances are me spending money on postcards is just kind of wasting money. Isn't there another area I could possibly go into where there's not a dominant agent? So let's go back and check that. Okay. All right. Number three,
Thank you.
you're welcome. If there's not a dominant agent and there's enough turnover and it's worth what you're paying, know what your competition is sending out. Like, are they sending out postcards and you're not? Are you very systematic? Every 21 days a postcard goes out versus, you kind of 3 or 4 times a year. Are you involved in all the communities? Are you involved in the meetings? Those kind of items. Once you know the answer to all that, then you make a decision whether I should stop and then go spend money somewhere else. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ryan.
I just want to make a couple of comments for all of you on the call, just to piggyback on what John's saying. Number one, you have to be an expert. You have to be an expert in a particular market when you list a home, and you got to understand how to do a comprehensive comparative market analysis. You can't be lazy about it and just say, well, these are the homes and these are what they're selling price per square foot, because not all homes are apples to apples. You have to make price adjustments based on the finishes, the views, the lot size. Does it have time appropriate finishes? Is it a top level unit? How far is it away to the ski lift, for example? So get good at understanding the market. And if you need help with it, reach out to me. And then lastly, this is what I tell my sellers, and use this. When you have a good understanding of what that home should trade for, and there's an objection on, well, we don't like that price, tell them exactly this. Say, seller, if I were representing you as a buyer, this would be my offer, and here is why. You have to show them the data and flip the script and tell them precisely that. Mr. Seller, if I were representing you as a buyer, this would be my offer. But before you can make that statement, you have to be accurate with your comparative market analysis.
Good point, Brian.
Not just list and pray. Savannah?
John, what is something that you've seen that's been super successful in expired programs? Like when
calling
sending
them,
out,
calling them
calling
and
them.
going seeing, and by the way, you've got to, everybody will tell you this is nothing changed in 40 years. You have a 10-day window for 70% of them. There is a percentage that are not going to list anymore. There's a percentage of them that are just so frustrated with the situation. They've been on the market for 6 months to a year. They just need time. They just need a mental break. However, the majority of them will relist within 10 days. So if you can't reach them by phone, just go knock on their door and get there before everybody else does. Don't wait till 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Like you need to be knocking on that door about 9 a.m. in the morning. You need to be calling at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning as soon as you possibly can before other realtors call. Because typically what people will do, they're going to hire the first realtor who walks in the door and impresses them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. We have time for one more question. Anybody? John, I think what's interesting in what you said is all the strategies you shared have been tried and true strategies for a very long time. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, they've been around forever. I didn't invent any of this stuff.
I think sometimes we think we got to try something new. We got to try something that no one else is doing. We got to try something that matches, our new reality in 2026. And the reality is farming well, knowing your market, calling expireds. These things always work. Doing open houses. These things always work.
They sure do. They
Yeah.
sure do.
Well, John, we appreciate you being here with us today.
My pleasure, Russ. It's always an honor. You were a great team leader back in the day when you allowed me to come and teach bowl for you so much. Joan, good seeing you. You're one of the pioneers and founder of that office up there, and I'm so proud of you for taking that initial step and leaving the company you left to come and open bail along with your partners. And I look forward to Holly getting on here and showing y'all how to have a great presentation on the 3rd.
Love it. Thank you, John.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.
Couple more quick announcements. Don't miss Katie today, 1 to 2 p.m. If you want to jump on that Zoom, you just go kwsummitzoom.com and the password is all caps KWTOTR, which is top of the Rockies. And if you need that, just text me and I'll send it to you. See you March 3rd, Holly Prescott, presentation skills for listing appointments. And I can't wait to see about 22 of us at family reunion Friday and Saturday. See you soon. Bye-bye.